Martin, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me today.
Absolutely.
Okay, so
all the time in the world. Thank you very much. I read the review from you. It's I like what you're writing about it.
Well, so being an American, like, we can butcher any like European language, and I am sure we say things completely wrong, and I'm sure that we say band names wrong. Is it lycanthropy?
Well, we haven't really thought about international how you can say it. We say lycanthropy.
Lycanthropy, okay.
Yeah.
So that was my other second guess.
In the Swedish way, but
yeah, you know.
Or a Swedish English, maybe.
Well, Americans, we basically try to say things the way they're spelt, and
yeah.
I also know that being that I have a lot of European friends who have bands, in Sweden, Finland, and the UK and whatnot, that it's not always what it looks like, and so I always go, well, let me just be safe and say what it looks like, and usually I'm wrong.
We're fine with the American spoken of lycanthropy anyway, so you can do what you want there.
Well, I like lycanthropy better, so because now that I know how to properly say it, I can correct people.
Sounds good.
So one of the questions, well, actually not so much a question, but Lykantropi has become one of my favorite bands probably in the last decade or so, because you guys and gals actually have done something that I feel like is really different, and you've combined so many influences. Like, I hear the harmony aspect of Fleetwood Mac in there, but then I also hear like the musical harmony and melodies of bands like the Mamas and the Papas, and that kind of 60s California folk rock type stuff. Am I close in feeling like that's some of your influences?
I can say you're quite close, because if I am, I can say like this. I grew up with my mother's records, vinyls, and most of the records were from the 50s, 60s, and 70s. Mm-hmm. Probably most 60s and 70s. And it's it's combined, 60s and 70s. Those 2 decades has been the big inspiration in the young teenage of both me and Thomas. Mm-hmm. So that's basically the red line in the writing. Also, we have some. If you see it as puzzles, you take a little bit of inspiration here and there, and it became lycanthropy songs in the end.
So that's
but also, also I must say, it's when we do the writing, the songs, in my point of this, I haven't been listening to so much music in the about 6-7 years. When I do the writing for Lykantropi, it's more coming from the inside, and probably from my childhood actually. And both the lyrics and probably the music also, because it had an effect on me when I was a teen, Do you understand?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, as a writer, I feel like, at least for me personally, I find myself channeling a lot of things from my past and from, past influences. And I also, even though I listen to a lot of music, I don't find that a lot of the music that I listen to necessarily influences how I write or play, you know, and so
Yeah.
That's kind of what I was feeling like you were trying to say a little bit. Is that true?
Yeah, absolutely right.
And you know, you were talking about the overall just writing aspect of it, and one of the things that I've always, since I've been a fan, that I've been really intrigued with is the subject matter of the lyrics. They always seem to be somewhat dark, but not depressing. Dark, and maybe even at times kind of, I don't know, like esoteric at times. And I feel like, that some people would even be, you know, quick to put a label on Lykantropi and call you like occult rock or something. Is that a fair description, or is that?
Yes.
It is?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you tell me a little more about that?
Yeah, absolutely. For the first thing that comes up in my mind with my songs and the background, I love horror movies and I love nighttime more than daytime, you know, and every sense in the body works better at nighttime, actually. And I've been working in the industrial business for, well, soon 2 decades, and many graveyard shifts. And I write some songs. I have wrote many songs, actually, during that time.
There's something inspiring.
Late hours.
Yeah, there's something. I think I was talking with your co-singer Mai, and one day, and I was telling her that how much I said I love gray days, and I love, you know, when it's kind of cool, and I like the dark because there's something about it that just seems to spark creativity, and maybe it's because you have to look a little harder, if that makes sense, like in the night. Like, I feel like you have to use your senses more than in the daytime when it's well lit and, you know, everything is easy to get around. But if you're going for a walk at night, you have to be more aware of things. And I feel like that kind of sparks that creativity. At least in me, it does.
Yeah, absolutely right. For me too. For a few years ago, I went with my girlfriend we were in Florida for 6 weeks.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And I fell in love actually with the sounds of the nights, you know, and the smell and the warmth and the moisture, everything. It's completely different than Swedish. We have it's more dry, cold in the summertime also, but well, it's another kind of life. Yeah, night times there versus northern. So I had some inspiration actually over at your place.
Well, so that's what I was going to ask you. So, you know, like, I've read interviews with, you know, like old interviews, say with like Black Sabbath, Judas Priest, bands like that, and they talk about how the geographic setting of where they grew up or where they're from, you know, being industrial and dark and kind of dirty at times, it was, you know, a reflection in their songs. That's what really kind of inspired that dark heaviness. So what did you take away from being in Florida? Because as a person who lives in Georgia, like, I hate the heat and the moisture. Like, actually, my friends always joke around and say I should live in Sweden or Finland. You know? So what did you take away from being in Florida as far as an influence? And did it feel like a more positive kind of influence, or was it like a different kind of dark?
It's positive, absolutely. But it's like a little piece of puzzle you can't hear it in the music, but it's a strong feeling you get close to nature, and well, it's hard to explain actually, but I really love your country, but I hate the infrastructure and all the roads, it's
It's terrible. we hate the roads here.
Maybe I don't like the climate, people's climate. More only focused on. I went for several walks in. You can't walk everywhere because then you end up dead probably. But but I went for some adventures, and it blew my mind actually. What nice natures you got there, and alligators and stuff.
That's where you end up dead.
We went to a place called Circle B Bar.
Oh, never.
It's a trail actually, but you have alligators very close by the trail, so better watch where you put your feet. Actually,
I'm sure that was a big difference coming from Sweden, where you're like, oh my God, there's alligators like 5 feet away from me.
Yeah, lots of snakes also. But well, it's nature. You shouldn't complain. So
home is home no matter what. And I feel like wherever you go, there's always going to be something about it that makes you miss where you're from. Yeah, I went to the UK for the first time earlier this year. Went to London with my wife, and I fell in love with London. Like, I just loved it. I loved the weather. I loved just the people. But I found myself after a while getting a little claustrophobic. And like where we live here in the southeast, everything is very kind of spread out. There's like a lot of space and whatnot. And when I was in London, I felt like everything was very tight. And so after about 3 days, I was like, okay, yeah, I like it here, but I'm ready for some quiet, like I'm ready to go back to the woods where I live, Yeah,
all right. I understand you. It's very compact. London, actually.
Oh, yeah. Well,
multicultural compact.
Oh, it really is. And like, I've never been to Sweden, and we were supposed to go this year, and obviously with the pandemic, we weren't able to go. But I've always been fascinated by Sweden, especially because most of my favorite bands are Swedish. And to kind of go back to what we were talking about, you were talking about like the geographic settings and stuff like that kind of influencing. I was trying to break down the name Lykantropi, and is there any connection there to the Lykan, or the Lykan, which is the shapeshifter, the werewolf?
Well, in some way it is, but mostly when we talk about songs, actually, transformation of songs, or I should put it in another word. For me, a song could be like a book, full of chapters.
Right.
And that kind of transformation is actually what I'm talking about. So, well, so not the transformation thinking you're a wolf.
No, I totally see what you're saying.
But but I like what it stands for also, because as I told you, I love horror movies, and so, or did actually. Well, I do still.
Well, so what is the tropy part of the name? Like, what is? I mean, if you had to kind of, like define that specific word, because I couldn't find that as a proper word when I was trying to look it up. Like, what does that combined mean?
Well, it means a man in a sickness kind of he think of himself becoming a werewolf. That's the state, the sickness state he's in, actually. So that's what it that's about it. I think.
Okay. Yeah, no, that totally makes sense though, because I think if you wanted to even kind of get a little cosmic or psychedelic to describe it, I feel like you're right, is that in the sense of a song being written, it starts out, it really is like an evolution, or like you said, like a transformation. It starts with an idea, and then it transforms into, something that gets written to paper, and then it transforms again into something that's more formulaic, and then it transforms into a song. So it really is a shape-shifting of sorts.
Yeah, and that's even when we come up with the skeleton of a song, or the basic idea of it, and it turns out like this flower, with all the members in the band putting all their effort into it, and so the song could sound not like what you were thinking from the beginning. It can turn out to a whole different song when we have been improvising and putting our heads together.
To me, as a song,
or the heart and soul together.
Oh,
mostly the head's outside sometimes.
But yeah, that makes sense, because to me, when I write a song and I bring it to my band, like I would say maybe 97% of the time, it doesn't sound like the way it did when it was just me and my guitar and writing the song. And to me, that's the best part about it, because like you said, everybody puts their own piece into it, so that when that song is collectively played, everybody has a connection to the song.
Yeah.
So how is the
songwriting? And that's the best way of doing songs and having fun together, actually.
Oh, yeah, I totally agree, because to me, it's very inclusive, So talking about the songwriting process, like how does that generally work in the band?
Well, it works out well in different shapes. The first two albums, actually, I wrote about every song except two songs on Spirituosa that Thomas did. But that's because I had all those songs in my back head. So we had a lot of material to put in those first records, and the new one, Tales to be Told, it's all new songs that we wrote together, me and Thomas. We split that record, actually, 4 songs each, and everyone in the band was working together with those songs, putting their stuff in, and even some lyric parts and so. So that's the best way, as we were talking about earlier, to work together. The first 2 albums was a bit different, but we put it to reality together.
Well, that's one of the things I noticed, was that with Tales to be Told, well, first off, easily my favorite record of the year, hands down, the best record I've heard this year. And in listening to the debut album and then the Spirituoso and then this one, like with Tales to be Told, there definitely seems to, or at least I can feel that there is a growth to the album. And I think that that's kind of what you're saying. So do you think that that growth in your sound comes from a more collaborative effort?
Yeah, absolutely. And also Thomas has recorded and produced the album, so he had put all his love into it. Before on the other two albums, we did the recording for about, I think it took 4 days.
Oh wow!
And not so long mix time and the master, and so this Tales to be Told, it took a long time for him to be finished with, but you can hear a difference, but I think it's at the same time I hear the red line on all the albums actually, but I also think it's the best. It's my top of those 3 albums. It's the best album in my opinion.
Oh, I totally agree, because like I said, you know, the first album being that I heard, being Spirituoso, and that really opened the door for me to go back and listen to the first one, and then I found myself just loving them both. But with Tales to be Told, there definitely also seemed to be a lot more of a how do I say it to make sense? It kind of sounded more like there were some conceptual stories to the songs more so than the first two, and to me, the standout track, as far as I've got 2 favorites off that album. One of them is, now I am going to try to say this, and I bet I'm going to ruin it. Is it "Come to Me"?
Yeah.
Did I say that right?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Did. Okay, good. Now I can be Swedish. Okay.
Absolutely, you can.
Well, so
the 7-minute long song, yeah.
Well, I'm a sucker for those songs because I love, in a 7-minute song, it can go one of 2 ways. It can be really redundant and boring, or it can be like this, like I could hear more of this. And one of the things I loved about the album, so translated, the song means the title is "Come Take Me Out," and so it also is accompanied by this really beautiful but haunting video. And I read somewhere where you said that it was inspired by a vampire movie called Only Lovers Left Alive.
With Tilda Swinton. 2013 it was made.
Well, so I know that sometimes when we write songs, because I do the same thing too, is that if you write a song that's got some sort of a fictitious kind of influence to the story, sometimes we interject something in there that's of a personal thing to kind of connect with it. Is there any part of that song that has a personal tie-in for you, or was it completely just based off this storyline of the movie?
Well, it's I didn't think so much about the movie when I did the song. I was inspired of it, of course, but I made my own tale or well, it was inspiration, of course, but mostly I love on that movie. I love the form and the it's 2 vampire lovers that is stuck in time. Either you commit suicide or you live with the timelessness, and the timelessness is fascination. I'm fascinated. Well, how do you pronounce it? It's fascination. My fascination for timelessness.
Right. No, you said it right.
My God. Yeah, my English isn't so good, but
oh gosh,
let's work on it.
Hey, it's better than most people here. I guarantee you, you're doing great.
All right.
But no, I mean, I just thought that was such an incredible song. But one of the things, but the video again was something to me that was, in a time, in this day and age where music videos don't really exist much, and if they do, they're very simple. But this really seems to be kind of very artistic, in my opinion. So was the concept of the video something that you guys came up with yourself, or was that come from somebody else?
We had a storyboard actually, but the filmer he had some ideas for himself also to put in, and so we worked together, and voila.
It even made me think that, I mean, and of course, this is kind of just how I think. I always think in big kind of stoner ideas, is that watching that video almost made me feel like that there could be somewhat of a thematic movie to the album in general. And Lykantropi is obviously a very visual band too, in that sense. Have you ever thought about doing something like that? Like maybe like a film based on an album or something like that, or?
No, we haven't. But now that you mention, why not do it?
Give me credit for it though, if you do.
Yeah, absolutely. Maybe you could be a part of it also.
Oh, yeah, I can play a small role in it somewhere.
A werewolf.
Oh yeah, I don't know. I am big
a Georgian
and hairy, so
werewolf.
Yeah, I can say I'm gonna come get y'all. Rawr.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Rawr.
Yeah. Sounds good.
Yeah, I got the job. I'm so excited. My wife will be ecstatic.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Well, so the other song that really hit me really hard in a good way was the Axis of Margaret, which was written by Thomas, the bass player, and it was written about the death of his mother and kind of like what led up to that. And, like one of the things I was curious about was that there has to be a lot of trust with people in a band to share a story that is that personal. So like not only to share it with the band, but with the public. So what was your reaction when Thomas brought that a story like that in? Like, was there like a sense of, are you sure you want to do this kind of thing?
In the band, you mean, or? Well, we are like a family in the band, of course. Mm-hmm. We love each other deeply. So, well, it was much feelings, of course, and but for him to and the exploitation of, for when people talk about the song and so, he wasn't actually thinking so much about the consequences. He had to get it out, from his chest and so that was his way of doing that, actually.
Because one of the things I always think of when I write a song is that, or like whenever I hear somebody's song that I really like, is that once you've written a song and you've recorded it, it no longer just belongs to you. Like you've given that to the general public, and for a subject that's that personal, it must be scary, but at the same time kind of like, I'm so glad I got to get that out and share that. Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So
we don't think to answer your question, mainly, we don't think so much about the consequences of it. Mm-hmm. More firm on using the heart and soul to put songs out for you. Actually, that's the priority. Otherwise, you can do something else, play tennis or what.
Well, because, you know, I mean, to me, that's part of what I think drew me to Lykantropi's sound and music, was that there is a certain amount, or a very heavy amount, I should say, of emotion. And
Yeah.
and like I said, there's some darkness there, but then there's some, like, it's almost like a comforting darkness that slightly makes me uncomfortable, but in a good way, if that makes any sense, you know?
Yeah, I know.
You know, and I love that, because that to me is a sound that you can't fake, that it comes, you know, very natural. And the thing that I think really ties it together, obviously, is the vocal harmony between you and the other vocalist, Mai Shaolin.
Me.
Yeah, Mi Shaolin. Thank you.
Yeah.
And like, your two voices are so lush together. Like, did that come very naturally, or did you two have to really work hard to kind of connect with each other vocally?
Naturally. It came easy, actually. Well, there was no other way.
Well, I mean, because
we didn't fight too hard to. Well, we want to sing, both of us, but on this album, me has more space. I'm only singing on 2 songs, I think.
Well, so
Don't remember.
So how do you decide who sings what? Is it kind of based on the feel of who's...
Yeah,
like, in other
the
words,
feel
like, do you sing it first and then she sings it and you go, okay, which one felt better?
Yeah, we're trying every song, and some songs are more for her, or combined with me, or we improvise and try everything, actually, without working too hard to I must be in it, or you know, improvising, actually. And everyone is taking a part of that too, with their opinions and so. And no hard feelings from anyone, actually.
I mean, I think that at the end of it all, the most important thing is what's best for the song, not what's best for whoever sings it for their ego, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
One of the things we talked about just a little earlier, we were talking about the kind of esoteric aspect to the lyrics and somewhat occult type thing. Is that a personal thing for you, or is that something that you're open to talking about?
Well, we're not into the occult, actually, but it's there as an inspiration, and combined with the mystic and the night, love for the night and nature, and it works out well, the form of Lykantropi, actually, and we like that kind of form, and that's the little black pearl with this band, I think.
I think that that's really good, because I feel like sometimes some bands kind of go too far with it to the point where you're just like, okay, this is kind of cheesy. But then like with a band like you guys, to be exact, actually, like just like you guys, it's like when I hear your songs, it makes me think a little more, like, like I kind of get where they're coming from, but I want to know a little more, and is that kind of what you hope to shoot for sometimes? Is that you don't want to give it all away in a song?
Absolutely. You don't want to describe too much, and you want to leave the puzzles for people to Wonder.
Well, that
Do you
makes,
know?
Oh yeah.
What I mean?
No, absolutely, because
In a poetic way,
that's
probably.
that's exactly, because one of the things I've noticed is that some bands can be so literate, that like like that there's really no guessing. It's like, okay, this is what this is about. Like, you've just put it all out for me. And like a good example is with Axis of Margaret. If I hadn't read that description of what it was about, as far as what Thomas said in the press, I would have painted a completely different picture in my head. And that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Because, I feel like that a great song is a song that makes you think and that makes you draw your own conclusions, or makes you
just like a painting, or what do you want to... For me, it's, listening to a song, it's basically the same thing as what's catching my interest is when you hear a song and you wander in your thoughts, and just and when you see a art picture or illustration or whatever, and you feel, you get all those different views from it, depending on who's looking at it, and to leave not all the trace. Is it the right word?
Yes. No. Yeah. I know exactly what you're saying. Basically, what if you can correct me, is like what you're saying is that like you should be able to, like two different people should be able to look at a piece of art or something and have two completely different meanings to themselves, because they're looking at it different. And instead of leaving every trace of a message behind, you've given them just enough to say, okay, interpret this your way.
Yeah, you got me.
Oh, okay. Man, I wish you were here.
Good.
We could have a beer over this, man.
Absolutely. When the time comes.
Well, so that's
we're both in Florida, probably.
Well, you know what? Next time you're in Florida, I'll definitely drive down. Or you can just come over to Georgia. I have a great basement down here. You can hang out here. We can drink beer and listen to records.
Sounds good.
Well, so
maybe take the Airstream for a ride.
Oh man! Oh, I like that. I like that idea.
Yeah.
I always wanted an Airstream, man. Gosh, yeah.
Yeah.
I would probably just live in it
sounds
anyway.
Good. Well, so then we go to Oregon and to the redwood forests north of California.
Oh,
I
yes. Think. Beautiful.
Let's do it.
Where they just made magic mushrooms legal.
Yeah. Far out.
I was about to say, you could write all kinds of songs up there with that,
Yeah, and climb those big trees.
Well, so one of the things I also wanted to point out, at least to me, was that I've noticed that. So I only heard of you guys because of a friend of mine who lives in Sweden, who plays in a band called Children of the Sun. And
okay.
And have you heard of them before?
Yeah, I think they're from the same city as us, actually.
I think so, because the guitar player Jacob, him and I were talking one day, and he said something about somebody he knows works with somebody from a band that I think you would like, and I was like, what are they called? He was like Lykantropi. I was like, okay, I'm gonna look this band up, and then all of a sudden, like, I felt like I discovered something new. But then now I'm starting to see your name more and more, especially here in the American press. I mean, have you noticed more attention being drawn to the band since the release of Spirituosa?
Absolutely. Much more interviews. So with both Spanish and Italian and now American.
how has the reaction from America, besides me being freakishly obsessive with you guys?
You're actually the first from America, but I have some more interviews later on.
Oh,
but it's all good.
First. I'm so glad to be the first.
Yeah. The best.
Oh,
right now.
Shucks, man. Well, thank you. I hope everyone else is not good, so I can keep this title.
Yeah, absolutely.
But well, yeah,
not so good those others, actually.
or very boring.
Some of them, but some was not so very good, actually.
Well, so that go ahead.
They thought he misunderstood me. One guy misunderstood me, taking us for being a political band. That's not close.
Oh, yeah, not close at all, actually.
No.
Matter of fact, if
actually,
anything,
the difference,
big
difference, the other direction.
Like, if anything, I feel like Lykantropi's music kind of takes
it's more
me,
fiction.
Yes, it takes me on this journey that kind of removes me from the real
reality.
World, which is kind of sucking right now, with the pandemic and with our crazy fucking Donald Trump who won't leave, and
he's a crazy bastard.
Oh, he's crazy bastard. But like, I can listen to your music and all of a sudden not think about it, and I think that that's something that's really special. Now, is that what you like to listen to? Like, what are some of the bands that do that for you, that like take you on a journey when you listen to them?
Well, I can't think of any band for the moment, but we have a Swedish artist. He's gone past. He's dead, actually, but his name is Bo Hansson. You should listen to him, actually. Ooh. There you have really some traveling in music.
Mm-hmm.
And he's a big inspiration for both me and Thomas.
That is awesome. You'll have to type that out for me so that I can look for it.
Yeah, I can do it after.
Yes, because I would love to. That's one of the things to me that I love so much about doing this and talking to musicians is that, like musicians that I really admire, is that not only do I hope to become friends with them if there's a connection there, is that I always love to learn about new artists and bands that I've never heard of. And to me, hearing that like word of mouth is the best way to discover new things, which is how I discovered you.
Yeah.
Well,
good that you did.
Well, you can thank Jacob from Children of the Sun.
Yeah, we will do that.
Well, so I have really enjoyed talking to you. So I'm only going to ask you like one more question, and that is that we have the pandemic going on, which obviously is causing a lot of bands to not be able to tour and whatnot. Does Lykantropi have any plans to do anything, like maybe like a streaming concert, or are there gonna be anything that we can see in 2020 or maybe going into next year?
No plans for a streaming show or so, but before the pandemic hit us, or when before the pandemic, actually, we had big plans for tours, and so that will be when it's all over, actually, and probably when it's all over, the pandemic, we probably end up with another record, actually. The album number 4 will probably be, that's our plan, actually, for the moment. Since we don't do any gigs because of the pandemic, so we have lots of time to work with the new material.
And it's probably easier. Yeah, I was gonna say it's probably easier to do when you're a band that doesn't rely on being a band for money. Like where you can actually do this because you truly love it and for the artistic value of it. And so by not being able to tour or play shows, you can just say, oh, well, you know what? We're just going to keep making music until we can go out and play shows. Are there, when you guys record, is there leftover material, like songs that you recorded that didn't make the album? And if so,
no.
Oh, really? No, there's not.
No.
So you go in with just the amount of songs to record?
Well, we do it like this. We maybe have, as in this album, we had 10 songs. Mm-hmm. But we felt that those 8 were the songs we want to put in. Those others, maybe we toss it out or work with it later on. Mm-hmm. Probably. We don't know. If you don't get the correct feeling, mm-hmm. Well, then it's you can put it aside and work with it later, probably, but or not.
That's very true. Like, you know if it's going to work or not with the material that you've got planned to go into a record with.
Yeah.
Well, I have to tell you, Martin, I've had a great time talking to you. I feel like I could talk to you all day. You know, we'd have to have beers, of course, but you're a great guy, and Lykantropi's new album, Tales to be Told, is fantastic. Your band is great, and I can't thank you enough for taking the time to talk and just answer all my curious questions.
Thank you. It was all my pleasure.